Rolling Stone! And today, probably the most catchiest theme tune for a computer game. That's right, Daytona USA for the Sega Saturn. Hello? GameZone. Birdroom. GameZone. Birdroom. GameZone. Birdroom. Welcome back, guys, to the GameZone Birdroom. And it's not the GameZone Birdroom without my babies, is it? Just like to share this with you. I think this is brilliant. Brought to you by the top game coders of AM2. This pixel perfect conversion. Does that sound right? No, I don't think it does. I think Sega were lying. Sega may have been lying for the pixel perfect part, but it played just like the arcade. It played beautiful. So I've got really fond memories of this game. This was one of 3 that I got when I got my Sega Saturn for Christmas, which was Sega Rally, Virtua Fighter 2 and Daytona USA. And they were all brilliant. The one I probably spent most of the time on the day, on actual Christmas Day, was Daytona USA. There was something about it, the feel, not the graphics, that was awful, but it was just the feel of the game, you know, and how exhilarating it was to have 40 cars on screen, especially on the first track. It was just unreal at the time. Absolutely loved it. Anyway, let's get on with the review. With a limited release in 1993, Sega showed the world Daytona USA on their brand new arcade board Model 2. If Virtual Racer showed us what was to come, then Daytona USA delivered the future. Well, for 1993, this was as good as it got. Well, in fact, graphics would not get this good at least until probably 98, 99. This was how ahead of the game Sega was with their arcade division. And of July of 95, Europe got to play Daytona on the Sega Saturn. Pretty bare bones version, but it didn't matter. I mean, to experience the arcade at home was something special. Please select a race course. 37 Speedway. If you choose manual, your car is actually slightly faster, but I prefer the automatic. Classic tune. The music in Daytona is fantastic. It really is brilliant. Cheesy as hell, but it makes you feel good. It's that feel good type of music. On the 360 version, they released an update with no pop-ups or anything, and they've got a karaoke mode, so you can sing as loud as you want with it. And to have 40 cars on screen was pretty amazing for its time. As I said earlier, this game I played probably the majority on Christmas Day. I was in love with it. And at that time, you know what, I couldn't even tell about the pop-ups. I really couldn't tell. I really took no notice whatsoever. I was just so involved in the game that it didn't bother me. Now, looking back now, with eyes from 2020, you know, it is dreadful. The clipping that they used was just really, really bad. But did it destroy the gameplay? No, it still plays as good as 95. You know, it's not the best looking Saturn game, but I can tell you it's definitely not the worst. Different camera angles you got on it. There's also an endurance mode where you actually have to pit. So it was quite realistic physics in this time, because if you played the endurance mode, your tyres would wear and tear, so you would have to actually pit. But I love the old arcade mode. And he's going to get first. Look at that. Not very good at the other tracks though, so you can see in a minute. They involve drifting, power sliding. I mean, when we compare games today, the physics in this seems ridiculous, proper arcade type. But back then, it was unheard of. The drifting, the power sliding, you didn't get that in games at this point. Especially not in 93. The legendary AM2 created this game, Yunyutsuki, the legend. He is the version of Stan Lee for Marvel, but he's that version for Sega. Absolute legend. The games that he was involved in at the time was just, well, crazy. And this was the first game to use Model 2. Very expensive arcade board at the time. Would have been about £30,000. And Model 2 produced some amazing games. This, Virtua Fighter 2, Sega Rally, Virtua On. The list goes on actually. Look it up on the internet. The games that were on the Model 2 arcade board. Unbelievable. I think Sega was at their most creative best at this point. So the second track is Dinosaur Canyon. A lot more difficult than the first. A lot of twisty turns. You need to use those power slides and drifting on this track, which I'm not that good at. Hence why I'm in 18th place instead of first. I think that's what made these games so good in the arcade, is the fact that you only had like a certain time limit. And you needed to get to that checkpoint. Also frustrating as well, especially when you put your £1 or £2 or however much it was back in the day, and say you didn't even get past the first checkpoint. You think, what a waste of money. I could have kept that and got a pick a mix. Did get to play this in the arcade. Special little moment. That's when you realise the Sega Saturn just could not cope with Sega Model 2 board. It was all the downgrades that was happening. The low resolution textures, the clipping effect, the low frame rate. The frame rate on this game was probably about 18, 19 frames per second. Instead of in the arcade it was 60. So yeah, a lot of downgrades. But then what do you expect? I mean, the Saturn at the time was a £400 machine. And the final track, Expert, or Seaside Street Galaxy, if I remember. Might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. My favourite tune in this game. Blue, blue skies I see. Really does represent Sega at the time. The blue skies, the bright, vivid colours. Such a bright, colourful game Sega was producing. In a minute we get to see Jeffrey from Virtua Fighter. Made a little cameo. Just to show you it's a Union Suki game. There he is. That was their next project. Virtua Fighter 2. There's a reason why this is called the Expert track, and it is really hard. Some real twisty corners. And if you're like me, you're rubbish at it. But I'm a trier in life. Anyway guys, take a chance when you're playing this game of just checking out the scenery. Especially in this track. You got the rocket ship. And I'm pretty sure if you look at it long enough, it takes off. And also at another point you get to see it's like an old type pirate ship. So they really took the time to make the scenery just as good as the racing, like the track and everything. Just the little finer details, which I think this is what makes the game so special. There it is, there's the pirate ship. I'm really terrible at this track. Don't think I'm going to finish the second lap. We'll give it our best shot. Blue, blue skies I see. Classic. There was a couple versions released for the Saturn, which was the Championship Edition, which was graphically better game. Draw distance was a lot further, so you could see more of the track. The cars looked more like NASCARs, but I don't know, they just tweaked the driving physics in the game. It just did not feel right, especially for me anyway. I will be reviewing that version at a later date. And then they released it for the Dreamcast, the 2001 edition, which is fantastic. Again, they tweaked the car mechanics more nearer to the original, but still not quite right. Graphically though, the Dreamcast version is stunning. Absolutely beautiful. Still my favourite version though. 28th. Awful. Awful shame. Sorry guys, you had to watch that. Anyway, back to my boat race. So my final thought on Daytona USA for the Sega Saturn. Still such an awesome game. The playability of the game is brilliant. As I said, graphically it's not the best looking game of that generation, the PlayStation, Saturn and the N64, but it doesn't matter. Playability, sometimes graphics don't always matter, it's the playability of the game, and the playability of the game is just something else. If you're not a big fan of arcade races and prefer Sims, keep to Gran Turismo, your Forza. But if you love a good arcade racer, there is nothing better, except maybe Sega Rally, the original Sega Rally. Goes really cheap on Amazon and eBay, so it deserves to be in your collection. Get it! Anyway guys, if you enjoyed the review, remember to button bash that like, subscribe, and take it easy.